Duff here. How you doing? Another 3D printing video. But the exciting thing about tonight, let's not talk about the CR10 because that's not exciting me right now. The exciting thing is this box right here that just arrived today. And this, presumably made in the USA. It's kind of cool, huh? 3D printed. It's not from China. Imagine that. Just another reason to possibly give this manufacturer a try. This should be my Dagoma Neva Delta 3D printer. It's a Delta style 3D printer. So let's see what we got inside. We have a smaller box. I did see someone post they bought one on Amazon and it came packed in a haphazard fashion and some stuff was broken or missing. Okay, these are the arms for the Delta printer along with some test filament, a SD memory card, a scraper, a little badge thing, not sure what that's for, some cleaning wipes, some more test filament. Here's the arms. I believe these are magnetic. Instructions. Here's the little scraper. And one more box. A box inside a box. Let's see what this is. I'm guessing maybe a power supply. Yes. Oops. Power supply. Okay. So then, down in the box, there's some gold filament. It's just kind of tossed in there. I'm not sure why. Let's see if we can back up a little bit here. Set this stuff aside. And let's get out the biggest box, which presumably is the printer itself. I ordered this late last week. It didn't take too long to get here. My CR10. Okay, so now we are back to opening up the main box. It's kind of weird. Looks like this box would be a little bit bigger because it was kind of bowed out over this little thing here. Little support. I'm curious if that's a packing thing or if that support's supposed to stay in there. Alright, so let's see if I can get this out. Packing's a little iffy. It's not quite as... I mean, it doesn't seem damaged or anything, but... definitely not packed as securely as a CR10, believe it or not. Alright, so... I mean, as long as it's not damaged, that's all that really matters. Alright, so here is the hot end. This does have a Bowden style extruder. Let me get this up on the desk. Alright, so there's very simplistic instructions with this. These are all magnetic. Let's see. Sorry, I have to close the door. Alright, so there's these little balls here. It's very interesting. Just kind of very interesting install experience. It's literally snapping together. It shows you attaching three at a time. Very difficult. So all I basically did was just move these slider arms more or less in the same vicinity. Alright, so it does say these little orange spacers come out. See, it's interesting with the Dagoma or Dagoma, however it's pronounced, that majority of the parts are 3D printed. I guess that's why they can do it inexpensively. Alright. Now, something else I saw people mention in their videos was that there was a 3D print that's left on the bed that some people inadvertently just left there. And the diagram actually shows removing it, but in my case, it is not there. My build plate appears to be clean. Okay, so it says do that. Basically, clean the surface. I'm just going to use some isopropyl alcohol to do that. And yeah, it says clean the surface basically, and then download the software from Dagoma 3D. So I'm going to do that. One thing I find interesting here is that this has a USB port.
Oh my god.
So anyways, what I was saying was I find it interesting that there's a USB port in here, because my impression from watching the videos was the only way you could print is via the SD card. So the fact that there's a USB port makes me wonder if I can hook up Octoprint to here. That'd be kind of cool, huh? So let's see. Alright, it says to do an initial calibration. You hold the button on the front. There only is one button, but the build plate itself is also touch sensitive. For certain things you can just tap the plate, and like I think you can change filament that way, for example. But anyways, it says hold the button in and plug it in at the same time. So we're going to do that. So do that until it starts to move. Alright, so now we are watching the Neva calibrate. It has a touch sensor in the hot end that it touches the plate to adjust itself. So far so good, I guess. Sort of looks like it's doing the same thing, but maybe more touching. It's kind of cool just to watch. Yeah, it takes longer than I thought. It says here that it could take approximately 3 minutes until it finishes, so you get the idea. Alright. I let it finish through that calibration, and thought I could just like load filament and go, sort of. The instructions are rather sparse, but one thing I didn't really pay close attention to was in this diagram, it illustrates how there's a positive and a negative side to these rods here, which I did not really pay attention to, and it also shows a very specific way that they're supposed to be connected. On the one side of the rod is a couple dots that indicates the positive side, the other side doesn't have those dots. And then it's supposed to have, they're supposed to be aligned, 3 of them on one side, 3 on the other side, reverse polarity, which I did not do. Even though it went through this whole calibration okay, it didn't seem to want to print anything. I would hit the button and it would just flash. So now I just took these rods off, put them back on. I'm going through the calibration again and see if I have any better luck. Alright, I used the simplified version of Cura, which I'll show you in a little bit, to print it's basically to print this. They throw this in the box, and it's the default model that loads in the version of Cura that they include. So I'm just waiting to see what to do next. It just did like another calibration, it looked like. Now it's stopped. I started to load this in here. Now, unfortunately, the instructions, it's a quick start, and it like shows really nothing operations-wise about what to do. And when I go to their website, like there's no, like I can't find any manuals. and I had to do digging on Google to find the version of Cura that comes with this. It's not easily locatable on their website. It's very, very odd. Okay, we are printing, but again, without a proper manual, it's confusing what's going on, because I put in the card that had the file on it, hit the button, and went through all that initialization, and then it just kind of stopped with this yellow button still on again. And when I read the manual, it looks like you're supposed to be able to just put the card in, hit the button once, and it's supposed to go. So, not quite sure. It looks like there was some leftover orange filament in there from their factory print. I put in the silver sitting over here on the side. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what to think. It's kind of strange. I scaled it up 200%, so it's basically a bigger version of this. That's what I'm printing. Alright, there is no spool holder per se that comes with it. I just kind of have the filament that was included just laying on the table. I printed this off of Thingiverse that I guess is designed to hold a conventional spool, and I haven't tried it yet. But for now, for this test print, I'm just going to let it use up this included filament and see what happens. Alright, so like I said, this is the dumbed down version of Cura that comes with here, with the Dagoma Neva. You can rotate, scale, and mirror. There's no additional settings, you know, like with Cura there's a million different settings. With here they have it very, very locked down. You can choose your filament type, chromatic wood, octofiber, philo 3D, poly plus, polyflex, or other PLA type. From what I understand, it should work with any PLA, although Dagoma does sell a bunch of filament on their site. Very expensive filament, I may add, so I'm going to be trying just some of my eSun to see how it works. The only other settings are your fill density, which you only have 3 options: hollow, filling, or reinforced. Looks like there's no 100% infill options. And then for your quality, it's just basically your layer thickness, where you can go from 0.1 to 0.2 layer thickness. And I usually print on my other printers at 0.2, so I'll just leave it at 0.2. And you can, for printing supports, you can have either none, sides touching the build plate, or all sides. And improve the adhesion surface. I'm not sure if that means a raft or a brim or a skirt, I don't know. You just turn it on or off. Can't really tell what that does. Color change. This is interesting. You can build in a color change at a certain level. You can have it do a color change where it'll automatically pause and eject the filament, so you can put a different color in. So that's kind of cool, and that'd be fun to play with. Looks like from this view here, it looks like like it automatically puts a skirt in, I guess. Maybe that's a skirt, I'm not sure. So yeah, but we're not doing a color change. So that's how you do it. I'm curious if I can delete that. I'm going to just try to open a regular STL object here. Let's see how it looks. Like, let's do see if I can find the benchy. Where's the benchy? Oh, there it is. Okay, so there's the benchy, so that'll probably be my next test. Alright, just got done with my first print on the Neva. And here it is. I took the badge that was in the box and I blew it up to 200%. And you'll notice that the top is white, but the bottom is silver. I started with some of the silver filament that they included, and I stopped at mid-print and changed to my eSun Plus PLA filament to finish the second half of it, and worked pretty good. Basically what I did is to change filament was you hit the power button once, and then you tap on the build plate a couple times. And you have to tap pretty hard. But then it ejected the filament, and I loaded the PLA, the eSun PLA, and it picked right up. And turned out pretty well. My filament holder, that works pretty good. I have the arm turned now, it's at a better angle, so the filament seems to be pretty workable at that spot. But now I'm going to try to print a benchy, see how a benchy turns out on this thing, so I think that's a pretty solid test. It does make some odd noises. I don't know if it's just the nature of the beast with it being mostly 3D printed parts and it being a Delta printer, and a little noisy, but the print quality was okay, so let's see how a benchy turns out. I can tell you one thing that's a little weird, not having any sort of information panel, no LCD screen on this thing. You don't really know what it's doing. Like for example, it just did its touch. It touched probably 9 or 10 different spots on the bed, and then it parked itself here, and it was just sitting here for like, I don't know, 2 minutes with this light on solid, and I didn't know if it was screwed up, if it was okay, but evidently it was heating. It was probably bringing the hot end up to temperature, but you really have no way of knowing that, so that is one downside. But I have to keep in mind that the printer was only $249, including shipping, so that's part of the trade-off, I guess. But the 3D benchy print has started, and we will see how it does with that. Hey, it's the next day, and I woke up. I started this benchy before I went to bed last night. One of the other things that they include is another spatula. Okay, there you go. Looks pretty solid. Not perfect, but not bad. Don't really see any overhangs. A little bit of like banding here, I guess you would call it, but overall not too bad. You like my bed head? So anyways, that's my initial thoughts about the Dagoma Neva, or my initial testing with it. As far as my initial thoughts go, it was a bit confusing at first, the lack of documentation and the lack of stuff on their website, like no manual, and I had to like find the Cura software, like I had to dig through things to find it. It wasn't easily accessible on the website. I don't know if that's just a temporary glitch or what's going on, that they don't have the Cura software on the website. As far as operating the printer, again, it's a little weird, not what I'm used to, but it does work. Being able to change the filaments on the fly was pretty easy and pretty cool, and I'll be doing a lot more testing with it. The noises that the printer makes while it's printing are a little odd, some creaking, some banging at times, but the overall result was acceptable. So I'll do some more printing with it today, and I'll be sure to share my feedback as it develops. So that's it. Until next time, Duff Man out.